Yeah, Congress will be talking about that when they get back, and also certain to talk about those canceled peace talks between the United States, Afghanistan, and the Taliban. And with that, from California, friend of the show, House Armed Services Committee, Democrat John Garamendi. Good to see you, sir. As always, we appreciate it.
Sure.
Before you head back to town, at some level, the essential question from the top of the show, would you have been more surprised waking up this morning to news that the peace talks were canceled, or more surprised to news that members of the Taliban were hanging out at Camp David?
The latter.
Okay.
The peace talks have always been tenuous. The Afghan government was on the outside, probably not aware of what was going on. That's a very, very real problem that would cause the peace talks to at least be delayed, if not fail. But at Camp David, Taliban, in the week of 9/11, I don't think so.
There is the optics of this. I didn't remember you being super critical of President Obama talking to the Iranians, a group that also has a significant amount of American blood on their hands and the blood of American soldiers on their hands. So is your issue specifically that they were coming to Camp David, or the idea that there was a deal? What's the problem?
Combination of both of those. What is the deal? It's been secret. It's been kept from the Afghan government, obviously secret, and kept away from Congress also, although the House Foreign Affairs Committee has asked for a detailed briefing on exactly what this peace, or well, let's call it a peace deal, is all about. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is this is the 9/11 week. This is the Taliban that had invited and allowed al-Qaeda to exist, right, and to carry out its attack from Afghanistan. That just seems to be a horrible affront to the Americans and others that were killed in the 9/11 attack. So there was bad optics all the way around, and frankly, a bad process.
Yeah, well, there are Republicans who share your feelings as well. Meantime, here's Secretary of State Mike Pompeo defending the idea of talking to, as you point out, some bad folks.
If you're going to negotiate peace, you often have to deal with some pretty bad actors. While there have often been discussions about war at Camp David, there have been discussions about peace there as well. Been some pretty bad actors travel through that place throughout recorded history. It's an important place. It was a place where we thought we could convince all the leaders of Afghanistan.
I mean, he's got a point. There have been some relatively unsavory folks there for just this purpose, and at times it's worked out pretty well.
Well, I'm not opposed to the negotiations. I think that's extremely important. I've been calling for negotiations for, well, over a decade now. But the fact of the matter is the Afghan government has been basically out of the negotiations, and that seems to be
well, they were invited to Camp David. The Afghan president was on his way. Conceivably, he'd be there to talk about it. So you're upset that the Afghan government's not included in something, and they were going to be there at the table?
Not at all, Leland. It was prior to this meeting. So, okay, they're going to go ahead with the negotiation. I think that's important. My major point here is this week.
Got it.
At Camp David.
The timing point you make is an important one, and President Trump has talked about optics and timing before. You guys are going to deal with this when you come back, and the issue of Afghanistan and the president saying the war is going to continue. There's one thing. You get back there, the other issue is going to be border funding. President's been diverting funds from the military, from the Pentagon, to build the border wall. Is there a negotiation to be had on this, or is it better for Democrats politically, it seems, to just keep saying no money for the wall, no money for the wall, no money for the wall?
I think there's something far, far more important than the wall here, and that is the way in which the president has, in this process, usurped the power of the purse, usurped the constitutional power of Congress to appropriate money. It is the responsibility of the administration, this president, former and future presidents, to carry out the law and to faithfully enact and carry out whatever Congress has decided with regard to appropriations. Yeah. The president here, first of all, Mexico's not paying for it. The American taxpayers are, and frankly, our national security is seriously jeopardized by the president moving $3.6 billion out of projects that were deemed by the Department of Defense by the various departments, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and Congress, to be critical to our national defense. So there's a real serious problem here, and we have to push back.
All right, we will watch the pushback and watch if there's any negotiations that come out of it. Congressman, we always appreciate you being with us. I know you got a long trek back to the east here. Hope you enjoyed the vacation. We'll see you in Washington.
It'll be an early morning tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Thank you.